So this is gonna be one of them busy days where I've got several different things to do. So I've got 25 more meat birds showing up tomorrow, so I need to clean out the barn and make sure that is ready for them when they show up in the morning. And then I need to do a feed run. We've got our next ration of pig feed to go pick up at the feed mill. And I'd also like to get the sprinkler pump set up back in the pond so that I can use it to water the garden and may use it to water this pasture. So I really don't have much extra time today, so let's go ahead and get going. So in the brooder, we've had a bunch of kittens. So Rebecca ended up getting a mama cat and 6 kittens that were in some abandoned house in a nearby town. And we've had them in the brooder, and we've released them, I don't know, probably 3-4 days ago, so where they can roam the entire barn. So I'm gonna go ahead and get them moved out and get the brooder all cleaned up. Right here, here's the mama cat. So we're going to use this stall as the cat's new area for now. They've got places to lay and hide. They got their food. They got water. See, she's already taken to the new digs. All right, I got done what I wanted to. I got the brooder cleaned out, but while I'm here, I think I'm gonna go ahead and clean out some of the chicken coop and collect that chicken manure. It's really high in nitrogen, and I would like to use that to fertilize our corn in the garden. So let's clean out one more thing. So I'm going to use this chicken manure to side dress our corn, which that basically means I'm going to fertilize in a row just a few inches off the side of this corn. And you could probably do this 2 ways. You probably just lay it right on top, which is the way I'm going to do it. Or you could dig you like a little trough, like a little furrow right next to it. And you could put your chicken manure in there and then you could cover that up. Me, I'm going the easy route and I'm just going to sprinkle it beside it. All right, I just finished up. So normally you wouldn't just take chicken manure and just put it straight on the garden. You'd want to compost it first. It's very high in nitrogen, so high that it normally damages plants. So corn is actually a nitrogen loving plant. So hopefully this doesn't damage the corn and helps it grow real fast. And then I'm hoping to get the pond irrigation set up, and then we'll start sprinkling with pond water, which our pond water is full of nutrients. And then hopefully out here and everything in the garden is going to start growing a little bit faster, and we'll still get a decent amount of produce this year. All right, let's go ahead. We'll dump the rest of this on the compost pile, and then I need to run to the feed mill. All right, I just got back from the feed mill. I've got 750 pounds worth of pig feeds. Let's go ahead and get this unloaded. While I was out, I went ahead and I bought another. Oh my goodness, the chickens are so loud in here. Hold on, I gotta shut them up. There you guys go. So like I was saying, while I was out, I also picked up another one of these 55-gallon food grade lidded barrels, and I can store about 300 pounds worth of feed in that. So I've got 2 empty barrels, so that should store about everything except for maybe 3 or 4 bags. And you can see the inside of this barrel is pristine. It's already been cleaned and ready to go. And look at this. Everybody comes to the fence when you start messing with feed bags. They all think it's their time to eat. All right, that's bag 7. So that ought to be actually close to 350 pounds if I can get the lid on. So I've had some people ask me why I didn't buy bulk feed this year, and I probably got like 3 reasons why. I'll try to go over that in a minute. I think I may have overfilled this one. That's bag number 7 on this one. A little full. Go ahead and feed the pigs. Then I'll at least be able to shut this barrel up. Hello, piggies. There you go. There you go. You guys are happy with the feed, aren't you? Yeah. And I've only got 1 bag left to store inside. Hello, ladies. You want to smell this? It smells good. Yeah. I probably shouldn't tease you like that. That's pretty mean. I just cleaned this barn and the sheep have made a mess. And it looks like we got a pile of kittens sleeping over there. Remove the cat food. I had to put the cat food up here to keep the skunks away. That was a suggestion in the comments, and it seemed to have worked. You just got to get the food up off the ground so the skunk can't get to it. All right. So far, man, I think I've had this box now for probably 3 years, and I still have not had any rodents or anything get in it. It has worked good. But it has a nice tight fitting lid. So the last 2 years I bought bulk feed, usually 2,000 to like 5,000 pounds at a time. It would get delivered by a truck and put into these grain carts. I would put a tarp on it and store the feed that way. Now one reason I'm not doing that this year is because I always have trouble with these carts leaking water. I mean, it gets in these seams, they're not fully welded, it gets around the seams of the door. And then my roof is not steep enough. It really needed to be like, you know, a very steep roof, so it would shed water. Instead, water actually starts to pool on the tarp and will eventually just get inside the wagon, and then I get feed spoilage. So what I do is I normally store this. I've learned to store this inside because of my problems, and it does well inside, but I don't have any shed space this year to be able to store these under roof. So the second reason I'm not using this to like feed out the pigs is because you want to be able to use that feed fairly quickly. You don't want it to sit in here for 6 months as you feed out your pigs, because bugs will get in there. They're going to get in around the tarp, and the longer it sits, the more and more bugs actually will get in the feed, and your feed quality goes down. So you really want something that you can feed out over like a month and then get it refilled again. And the third reason is I thought we'd feed our pigs a little bit differently this year. So they make different rations based on what your pig weight is, like a weight range. So as they get bigger, they'll go to another feed, and then they'll go to another feed, and then finally to their final feed when they're somewhere around the 250 to 300 pound mark. So at the end of the year, I'll probably have a better idea on what works best for me, whether I want to continue doing separate feed rations or whether I just want to buy like one type of bulk feed to kind of feed them out that later part of their life. So I do plan on buying bulk feed again, but it'll be for the feeder steers. And they're probably not going to go on feed until probably around January, February, March, and then it'll be winter time. They'll be kind of in a feedlot condition anyway. So that'll probably be about the next time I buy feed, and I'll put it in one of these wagons, and hopefully I'll have some barn space to store it inside at that time. But I thought with everything that was going on, this was a good time to actually just try out the different pig rations and just see how they turn out. So before we set up the sprinkler pump in the pond, I need to turn the aerator on. It's supposed to run for 2 hours today. 2 hours. Start. So right out there, that's the wild duck that we raised in the barn, the one the cat had and was hurt, and we raised it with our other ducks. It's still out here, and it'll actually come up here and hang out with our ducks. But as soon as he sees us, he takes off. But he's by himself otherwise. He's either alone or he's with our ducks. But he can only fly like 20, 30 feet at a time. He's trying to fly. It's more like he's kind of jumping across the pond, but he's almost big enough that he can finally fly away. So before I get the garden wet, I need to try to pick a couple tomatoes for Rebecca. This is her size. She likes that. It's like a serving size tomato. And there's 2 of them. So this here is my 1 horsepower sprinkler pump, and this is a very common pump. You can find it rebranded under several different names. Even Harbor Freight sells this pump. It's just green. And the key to this is this filter right here. And inside of here you got this mesh screen, and you can take this out and you can clean it every so often, or you actually have to. And that keeps the water clean going through the pump, because that's the one thing that will tear this up is dirty water. I've had several people ask me, where did I buy this filter? And I bought it at Rural King, which is a farm store, and it's in the ag sprayer section. So it's got all these sprayer parts. It's got nozzles, it's got all this different black pipe, and it has several different ones of these inline filters. This is a 1 inch. You'll find several different sizes in that aisle, and that is where I got this. So on the output of the pump, I've got this manifold. I can hook up 2 garden hoses on here, and then I also have a place where I can prime the pump, which means to kind of pre-fill it with water and then close it off. And that is a lot easier than priming it through this little 3/8 inch hole that comes provided on the pump. Believe me, doing it this way, way easier. So right here, this is my pump intake. I got a pipe in there with hundreds of holes drilled in it. I am going to put a lid on it this year to keep the sunlight out. That way I don't get algae growing inside. There's also rocks on the inside to help weigh it down. Well, I should probably put the lid on after it's in the water. It can't let the air out. I just got to get the intake hooked up to the pump. Go ahead and prime our pump. I wish I had a funnel. Should make this a little bit easier. I'm just going to use my EcoFlow Delta Max to be able to power this. Sometimes this can be a little bit tricky to get started. I'm just going to tighten everything up. All right, I think I got it this time. I had to take this inline filter apart again. That bottom cup was not sealing. All the fittings have been tightened up, so I think this is gonna work. Oh yeah, she's working now. That thing can be a pain to start up, but once you get it going, it works, because I think it's mostly because it's leaking air. It's either sucking air in or water's getting out, and finally got everything tight. It should work every time I start it up now. It's just that first time that's a pain. All right, we're now getting that good pond water out here on the garden. So I got that pond pump out probably 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and got it all cleaned up and ready. And then we've had pretty decent rain since then. Until now, it hasn't probably rained in about 5 days, maybe 5-6 days. So it's time to finally get it out and get it running. And I do think that pond water is gonna do the garden some good. So Rebecca got home from work probably about an hour ago, and I told myself whenever she came home, that was basically quitting time. I needed to stop for the day. I have this tendency to like stay out here and I just keep working and I keep working. And before I know it, it's like 8:30 at night, the sun's going down or already down. And so I need to quit. So it's past quitting time. So I'm gonna go ahead and head in. Tomorrow I got meat birds coming in the mail, and then we are gonna be stocked up on animals. We're gonna have the most livestock we have all year starting tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.